lot of pace in the centres. A try in 130 metres from him. Tom Johnston with a try in 111 metres. Ash Gibson with a try 102 metres. Jacob Miller 111 metres, 2 clean breaks. And we finished with David Fafita, who always seems to make some metres, 128 of them this time around.
He's a metre eater, that kid. Right. Hull FC 26, Castleford Tigers 24, a close one down at the K-Con. Mark Castleford staying first place after this one, but this is a big result for Hull FC.
In front of
12,801.
Tyler Casfan starts with, the way we have been starting games this season, we should not have started this game with our best 3 forwards on the bench. 3 tries down after 15 minutes, we were always chasing the scoreboard, even with a man advantage. Hull were brilliant in defence, and Albert Kelly with the ball in hand was fantastic. Hopefully we learn from this, and I can't wait to see us put it right next weekend.
Andy Scrimshaw got in touch. He said, unbelievable performance to beat the top side in the competition with 12 men for most of the game. One of the worst decisions I've ever seen from a referee to send Watts off. We've been really unlucky with referee calls recently. Mark last week said he thought FC had already peaked this year. Luckily he couldn't have been further from the truth. Still think we are building towards a grand final win.
Oh, respond to that now.
Well, I was going to say that's good scrim. I was hoping you'd say that's good. I was going to let you say that's good Scrimshaw, because last time I read it out and you were ready to say it.
Oh, right. I thought you were pointing to me because he angled at me with the comment. But that is good Scrimshaw.
That's good Scrimshaw.
And I'll probably respond to that when I talk about the stats and how shit Hull FC's tackling still managed to be. But, every credit to them pulling a win out of that box. We'll talk about the red card later on, because I'm sure we're both in the incident and everyone else will mention it along the way. Yeah. Scoots28 Max says, don't think it was a red card, but we were 18-0 up before we went down to 12 men.
Rich Langley said, a lot of emotion around this one. Shame we're talking about our ref's decision rather than what a quality game. Brackets, and I hold my hand up as well on that one. Both sides put in a great show of summer rugby, and hopefully Hull can push on again from here. Hull's fast start gave them the edge to hang on, though was DP starting with the impact forwards on the bench a factor?
It has worked for them. That's a couple of times that's mentioned. It has worked for them a number of times, but I suppose, think back to the Catalan game. Catalan took a penalty, didn't they, when they'd come close to scoring a third try in the first 10-12 minutes or so, and they took a penalty instead. And from that point on, Junior Moores came on and said, no, I'm not having any of this shit, kids. I'm going to sort this out. And maybe, just maybe, that's running tired, especially after the end of an Easter period, when these impact players will not make quite the same impact when they come on, because they won't have as much juice in the tank, you would think.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, who was next?
AK Steel 69, one of our best reviews from last week, back in touch this week. What a game of rugby league. Hull accumulated a completely unexpected lead of 18 points this many minutes before Watts sending off. After that, it was like watching a snowman, knowing it would melt away but wondering if it would last long enough to make building it worthwhile.
Brilliant.
Incredible. Hull showed great grit, resolve and desire with the defence back to its best. This could be a very significant game in Hull's season.
Okay, Joshua got in touch, definitely one of our SLP junior listeners. Baddest referee performance ever, he says. Albert Kelly was our best player. Roberts moved the conversion closer and still missed. Even I could have kicked it. He's not as bad as Pat Richards there. He's stoking some fires, isn't he, this kid?
He likes
a bit of controversy.
Pat Richards dig, I don't know why he hates him so much. Richards is Superman, but Joshua's granddad we finish off with, who says,
we're certainly a family podcast these days, aren't we?
Definitely, and we're loving it. Possibly the longest game ever, but it had everything. Great opening 15 from FC. Red card view by many is harsh. Debatable try from Cass, which was grounded short, he says. Globetrotter-esque rugby from Cass met with heroic defence.
There you go, that's actually a good... pretty much sums up my thoughts on it there from Joshua's granddad, Mr. Scotter.
The debatable try that they're talking about is the Ben Roberts one, the one where he ended up getting in late at dummy half, scooted. Yeah. From the replays, which was obviously from the side and above, I can't see how he wouldn't have got to the line, but from where these guys sit, because I know John prefers to sit in the end, so I think they sit behind the sticks.
Right. You'll have had a different perspective.
And they maybe could have seen the ball and whether it reached the line. The officials were very close and happy to give the try, so I think you have to roll with that one. And it didn't make a difference in the end anyway.
So Hull FC came out firing and raced off into an 18-point lead, and probably fairly unexpected in terms of Hull FC's performances so far this season, to see them mustering so many points so quickly. But
But when they start with the players like Taylor and Watts in the front row, and maybe this is where Castleford's decision not to go with their more explosive forwards is it allowed Taylor and Watts to dictate the forward run on their terms, and they are very, very good players.
Yes.
So letting them do that can find you behind the ball, as they did again the same in the Catalan game. It was Sam Moa and the other big players in the pack that they started that game with. That was the difference, but they were able to come back in that one at home. This one they weren't quite, and maybe a large part of that comes around the red card incident in itself, because Cass actually scored more tries than Hull FC did. Goal kicking let them down, I think.
Which is a shame, because
they missed 4 or 5 kicks, didn't they?
Which is odd, because they've been pretty much flawless with the kicking as well, haven't they?
But the player who kicks the goals was knocked out,
missing the goal kicker. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about Luke Gale's. Well, let's talk about the red card. I won't phrase it another way. Let's be. It felt harsh to me watching the replay.
Watching the replay, it's all happened quite low down. Now, I don't think Gale was falling. I think he'd been at that height from the previous tackle. So Watts probably should have borne that in mind when he went into the collision. I think there was an opportunity for Watts to lower his own arm and for it to not swing in so forcibly. But I've watched it a number of times to see just how much of a swinging arm it was, and I'm not sure it was like it didn't look like the aim or upward swinging arm kind of situation that we had the week before. It seemed like he was going down into the player, but he has clean caught him across the chops, and he has knocked him out.
Yeah.
So to go all those things that
but we talk about intent and we talk about outcome, don't we? Now, I don't think the intent was there. The outcome wasn't great, but I don't think the intent was there. And that's you shouldn't be penalising people for the outcome. You should be penalising them for the intent. You should,
but you should always be wary of the outcome when it comes to things like head knocks and collisions.
Of course.
Was there an opportunity for that player to approach that tackle differently? I think there probably was.
Yeah. Listen, based in the heat of the moment, in the heat of a sport like rugby league, a referee has to make a snap decision, and it is an ugly-looking challenge, to say the least. So, whilst with hindsight being 2020, I can look at replays and all the stuff that's floating around Facebook and all that, and go, "Ooh, that was a bit harsh." If you've got make a decision and act on that to make sure that the game is officiated correctly, I think Robert Hicks kind of. I don't disagree with Robert Hicks making the decision, but we have the benefit of replays to go back on it and say, well, no, actually, maybe that was a shade harsh. But at the time, Hicks has to go with what he sees, and what he saw was a red card in his judgment. So there you go, he's the referee.
A red card maybe was the wrong colour card, but it's direct contact to the head.
Yeah.
It has to be penal. It's direct contact to the head in a physical, aggressive manner, and that stopped a player in his tracks.
Yeah.
And you say you can't consider the outcome. I think the outcome reflects how forceful the tackle was often.
It can do.
And so that has to be weighed up as a factor. Maybe though, like you say, red card was a touch on the harsh side. But Luke Gale wasn't able to organise any attacks, and Darryl Powell talked a lot about panic in their attacking play.
Yeah.
And the amount of just offloads they threw was more like how Warrington have been trying to attack when they've been losing the way, or how Widnes have been trying to get back into games when they're already behind the 8 ball, and that sort of thing, which is not what we're seeing from Castleford.
No,
we've not seen them try and score on every single time they're touching the ball.
No, they did panic because they lost that key organiser on the field, didn't they? And I think that's the story of the game. Luke Gale goes off, and all of a sudden that organiser is gone. But look, credit to them, because they mounted a performance, and they didn't. They came back from the 18 points down, and were it not for a bit of goal kicking, they would have won that. So.
And they scored some cracking tries. The Shenton try, and even the McMeekan one right on the end looked quite nice, but. That's not the entire story of the game, because the story of the game can't be complete without talking about Mahe Fanua, who, whilst I have only read the reviews and seen his highlights, seen the tries sort of thing from the highlights, read the reviews and looked at the stats, and this guy basically almost played like two players in a way, in terms of taking the heat off the middles, by running so much ball and getting so much ground when he's run the ball, which has allowed the middles to conserve their energy for defending, which they didn't do with great...
didn't show a real desire. You didn't see that enthusiasm for defence at times, did you?
Well, they didn't defend with precision, but they defended with heart and with support for each other. And, that's they're great qualities in itself. And being able to do something intangible to turn it around from what was an embarrassing stat number on the things, but it doesn't matter when you've got something intangible in there that overcomes that and sees you through over the line. So well done to Hull FC for that.
Yeah, definitely so. So, lots of interesting stats on this one. What did they tell us about the game, Mark?
Yeah, some season highs and lows were put up in this game. Most successful offloads with 37 on an 8-29 count in favour of Cass's 29 is the second highest by a team in SLP history in a game. Obviously, not total. This game had the most tackle bust / missed tackles in this season so far, 91 of each. Those totals are third highest SLP all time. Again, Cass were on the better side of that with 35 more bust / fewer missed tackles.
Wow.
Overall, 86% team tackle success was the worst in a game this year, brought down largely by Hull's own 82% tackle success. So,
defended with heart rather than precision, as you say.
That's it, yeah. From their defensive numbers, it's impossible to understand how Hull won this. A slightly better error count for Hull, 12-14, and a much better average gain, 1.6 metres per carry better, in fact, even with a man down. They even managed to more clean breaks than Cass with 9-7. So, in a weird way, it was their attack that won them the game. Certainly the way they started on fire helped. In scoring a try fewer, though, it was goal kicking which proved decisive, with Cass only managing to kick 40% from their 5 efforts.
Okay, so individually we've talked about a couple of these so far. Who stood out for us from Hull FC?
Well, Mahe Fanua with 2 tries, 146 metres, 2 clean breaks. Scott Taylor with a try, 143 metres. Carlos Tumavave, who scored ultimately the game winner with his try, 5 tackle balls, 101 metres. Jamie Shaw, 110 metres. Jake Connor, 2 try assists, 2 clean breaks.
And for the Tigers, Mark?
Well, Ben Roberts with 2 tries, 14 tackle busts, 3 clean breaks. Greg Minikin with a try, 135 metres, 2 clean breaks. Zach Hardacre, 8 tackle busts, 135 metres, 5 successful offloads. Mike McMeekan, 1 try, 5 tackle busts, 107 metres, 4 successful offloads, totally justifying his England selection. Junior Moore's 10 tackle busts, 141 metres, 3 successful offloads.
Enormous from Junior. Okay, final game of the weekend then.
Is a man of steel contender without any shadow of a doubt.
Of course, yeah, definitely. Was it him that ran through the middle of them for the Shenton try when he dusted off about 3 All FC defenders and then the ball goes through Webster's hands?
It went everywhere. Everyone touched that,
this beautiful line going on that no one had picked up on, and he just cut back inside. That was a fabulous try, and it was born out of some real hard work from Junior Moores, I think.
I'm not sure if it was, but it probably was. But sometimes I struggle with him in any other way.
Yeah. Okay. Final game of the weekend then, Mark, down at the DW. Free scoring fair for us. 42 points to 22 in favour of the Wigan Warriors over the Catalan Dragons in front of 11,637.
Yeah, Alan Walker got in touch, said, missed it. Sant Jordi, the most romantic and best day of the year in Catalonia. Some things are more important than the result. Everyone gives flowers grown from the devil's blood.
Oh, very good.
Or the dragon's blood. I
think that must be a dragon.
Whatever it is blood, yeah.
Yeah,
dragon makes more sense.
It must be dragon, mustn't it? There you go. Okay. And Eddington Wake's got into said Wigan the better team, but Catalan up 22-20 until Richie Milo went off for concussion tests midway through the second half. Wigan then capitalised and ran away with it thereafter. Yeah,
Richie Milo was able to come back onto the pitch, but wasn't able to affect anything when Wigan finally got clicking. I would counter the Richie Milo off at 22-20. Even though that was injury related and this was more, durability and rotation related. But Sean O'Loughlin's individual scoreline on this game, if you were doing that, was 38-0 when he was on the field and 4-22 defeat when he was off the field.
There you go.
So yeah.
Okay, well you'll have been at this one, Mark. What did you make of it? A lot of Liam's scoring, a lot of tries.
For 50 minutes, it was basically you make a mistake so we can score, sort of thing. The most earned try of the first 7 tries was the Joe Burgess try in the first half. Okay. Some sort of good skipping along the line by George Williams and a strong line run back in by Joe Burgess, those two in tune again. The Louis Anderson's second try was